Hey gang, Stephen Marshall, KYLandlordlaw.com. It's been a while, but back with a quick update here the evening of July the 29th, looking for an expiration of the CDC eviction moratorium scheduled to happen on July the 31st. So this is kind of what we've waited for a long time, ever since evictions started being outlawed back in 2020. Through that brief period in June, July, and August where we were allowed to proceed with evictions again. And then on September the 4th, when the CDC eviction moratorium began, we've been looking forward to the day when we could say the eviction moratorium is going to expire. Well, President Biden came out today and said that the CDC will not renew its eviction moratorium. So that is very good news. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, the United States Supreme Court have all kind of weighed in and said the CDC does not have statutory authority to enact an eviction moratorium. As a way to try to get around that, the president is asking Congress to pass legislation that would extend the eviction moratorium. We don't know if they're going to do that yet. And even if they do that, there's some real potential that the U.S. Supreme Court will say that they don't have constitutional authority to do that. But we're going to hope for the best and hope that on July 31st, the eviction moratorium goes away, never to rear its ugly head again. So we'll know more next week as to where things stand. Assuming Congress doesn't take action, theoretically evictions will resume under the old statutes, state statutes, which allow you to move forward. Now, we do have a couple of things one thing that we do know and one thing that we don't know. The one thing that we do know is that the Kentucky Supreme Court has issued an order that creates a two-step eviction proceeding. It used to be that you'd file your eviction complaint, go to court, and present your evidence, get your eviction judgment on the first court appearance. That is now changed to where if the tenant shows up, an automatic 2-week continuance is granted. Now, that 2-week continuance is based on Kentucky Supreme Court order, and it applies at every property in the state of Kentucky. And it's not limited to CARES Act properties, and it's not tied to the CDC moratorium, which means it is not going to expire on July the 31st. The only way that goes away is if the Kentucky Supreme Court issues a new order taking it away. So this process where you're required to go to court multiple times to get an eviction judgment, that is going to stay in place until further orders of the Kentucky Supreme Court, and again, that applies at all properties within the state of Kentucky. Now, on the first appearance, if your tenant doesn't show up, you can still get a judgment. But if your tenant does show up and it's a non-payment of rent case, there'll be an automatic 2-week continuance, at least 2 weeks, in order for you to meet and confer with the tenant and in order for the tenant to apply for rental assistance. Speaking of rental assistance, as most of you know at this point, the state's rental assistance money has been divided into 3 programs. If you're in Lexington, you've got the Housing Stabilization Program. They had $29 million in rental assistance, and as of this video have only paid out about $4 million, which means going forward they have a lot of money in rental assistance. So you'll want to consider going forward as you file your evictions and go to court, do you want the property back, or do you want to try to get this rental assistance money? If you're in Louisville, they have their own separate fund with plenty of money left. And then the other 118 counties that are not Fayette and Jefferson have their own fund called the Healthy at Home Eviction Relief Fund, which again still has lots of money left. The only problem with that program is that it has been incredibly slow, and there's a lack of transparency about where applications stand in the process. And so they're incredibly backlogged, and landlords really don't know where things stand in the process about where they're going to get their money. In Fayette County, although it's been a bit of a slow process due to being short-staffed, they've been much better about communicating with landlords about where the application stands and when they can expect the money. So as you move forward, we'll continue to have a two-step eviction process through the court system. And because of all the rental assistance money, you're going to want to consider whether you actually want your property back or whether you want to try to get the assistance money. If you want the assistance money, you won't want to ask for a judgment of eviction. You'll want to pass your case until a later date so that your tenant can go through, you and your tenant can go through the process of obtaining the assistance money. The other unknown at this point is exactly how the judges are going to respond to the expiration of the eviction moratorium. It's been a long time, gang. It's been a long time since judges were in the mode of, all right, you haven't paid your rent, you get a judgment against you that requires you to move within 7 days. Whether these district court judges will jump right back in to that process remains to be seen. Under the law, I think that's what they're supposed to do. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how they respond to the expiration of the moratorium. And it also remains to be seen what Congress does. Will Congress extend the moratorium further into the future? So that's kind of where things stand on July the 30th. The one other thing I wanted to touch on is I'm still getting a lot of questions about how much notice CARES Act properties need to give. The CARES Act expired on July the 25th, 2020, so over a year ago it expired. But there's an argument out there that the provisions requiring CARES Act properties to give a 30-day notice was ongoing, and that's HUD's position, is that it's ongoing. I don't think that's accurate, and the Kentucky Supreme Court, through their orders, has removed the requirement that CARES Act properties have to give a 30-day notice in order to file their evictions. So if you're at a CARES Act property, ultimately, technically, the law is a little bit unclear as to how much notice you need to give. As a practical matter, I think the Kentucky Supreme Court answered that question when they removed the 30-day notice requirement from their eviction filing procedures. And I think you can go back to your usual notice. So that's where I think things stand right now. I'm leaving tomorrow to go on vacation for a week. I'll be out of the office until August the 9th and won't have any access to communication. So I hope things stabilize in my absence. I hope that with the expiration of the moratorium, things kind of go back to normal, and everyone in the rental community can know what to expect when they go to court. If you want to get that rental assistance money, it's out there. It does come with strings attached, but that's something to consider as you file your evictions. Otherwise, if you have questions, be sure to shoot me an email, smarshall@trippleslaw.com. Give me a call, 859-685-0035. Beyond that, I'll see you guys on August 9th. Hope you're having a great summer. Take care.